say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good afternoon. My name is Johnny Maggio, and before I introduce today's key speakers, I'd first like to talk a little bit about what Veterans Day means to me. As I have grown older, I've learned to appreciate Wilton's atmosphere of tranquility, but it's really important to distinguish where that sense of security comes from. And thanks to the courageous, strenuous work at the hands of our servicemen and women, we're allowed to live in an environment that's almost entirely free of tangible danger, and now it's our turn to honor those men and women that defend that way of life. Though tomorrow's federal holiday isn't exactly one that calls for the gathering of friends and family, its significance is comparable to that of any other celebrated throughout the nation. This afternoon and tomorrow, it is imperative to praise our veterans' dedication to service, admire their love for this country, and above all, respect, honor, and remember their sacrifices to ensure our safety and liberty. To all veterans and those still serving, on behalf of myself and the greater Wilton High School student body, we sincerely thank you. I would now like to introduce our principal, Dr. O'Donnell, to share some remarks.
Good afternoon, students, staff members, and special dignitaries, including First Selectman Lynn Vanderslice. On behalf of the Wilton High School community, we extend a special and sincere welcome to the Armed Forces members who are taking part in our ceremony today, including Wilton American Legion Post 86. Today's ceremony will be special for you because you will hear from one of our current students who will soon be serving in the Marine Corps, and two of our Wilton High School alumni who have already valiantly served. Yesterday in my office, I received a special gift from a friend. This friend is quite accomplished, and among his many accomplishments is his role serving as the co-chairman of the Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation. The Medal of Honor is, of course, the nation's highest military distinction and award for bravery. During a social meeting this summer, my friend spoke with pride about his work with the foundation and said that he would send me a copy of this special book. I didn't know that it would arrive yesterday in my office. The book is entitled Medal of Honor, Portraits of Valor Beyond the Call of Duty. In his inscription in this book, he writes about what a privilege it is to serve on the foundation board, and that taking care of these national heroes and promoting character development through educational programs are two of their key priorities. As a lifelong educator and also a promoter of character development through education, I felt that it is perfectly appropriate for me to share with you my initial insights on my readings on Veterans Day. This book contains messages from 5 presidents, a chapter on fallen heroes, a section on unknown soldiers, and finally, portraits of valor from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the current war on terror. As I engaged in my initial reading last night, I quickly learned that there is a common thread with these Medal of Honor recipients. Their humility and their selfless concern for others are beyond compare. Those who survive consistently maintain that they themselves were not heroes, that they themselves did not do anything special, they just did their jobs. One recurring message was that they wear the Congressional Medal of Honor not for themselves, but for those who did not come home. One recipient, Army Staff Sergeant Charles Morris, who was wounded several times while keeping his platoon together during an 8-hour firefight in Vietnam, spoke for many of the other recipients of the Medal of Honor when he stated, "I have found that holding the medal is a humbling experience because it is so much bigger than I will ever be." Some recipients of the medal have observed that wearing the medal now is harder than having earned it in the first place. The second thing I learned so far in my reading was that aside from their service and the valor that they exhibited, they are very diverse. The recipients of the Medal of Honor have included privates and seamen, admirals and generals, teachers, businessmen, laborers and professionals, the affluent, members of the minority community, and immigrants. They held diverse religious beliefs, and I found it noteworthy that a significant number of the recipients came originally from other countries, but that they galvanized together as Americans to serve our great nation. It is clear that we can all learn from these great American heroes about these important traits, including humility, altruism, the selfless concern for others, and diversity, transcending greater causes. These are some of the traits that have contributed to the freedoms that we share today and for which we must eternally show our gratitude. In closing, to Wilton High School senior Seth Warren, who will be joining the Marine Corps, and Wilton High School alumni Peter Dye and Tommy Thresher, I speak on behalf of our entire school community when I say sincerely that we have the deepest respect and level of admiration and appreciation for your service to our country. Thank you.
Hello. This fall, our school community has been involved in the Socks for Soldiers program. Our mission is to provide support for soldiers and veterans. We have been collecting new white socks along with new and used winter coats. While the clothes that we have are being shipped out today, our school will continue to collect socks throughout the whole entire school year. Boxes for all items are placed outside Mr. Pompa's door. Since December 2008, our school has collected over 11,900 socks. Thank you for all your donations. Next, I would like to introduce one of our very own classmates who will be joining the Marines after he graduates this June. Please give warm welcomes to Seth Warren, who will tell us more about why he chose to join the military and what he will be doing.
As Americans, we are lucky to have been gifted with a single, formidable constant: freedom. Our greatest generation defeated the Nazis, beating them back from the beaches of Normandy, across Europe, and back into Germany. During that same time in the Pacific, the Marines fought on countless other beaches on before unknown islands, such as Peleliu, Tarawa, Okinawa, and Iwo Jima. They fought savagely for every forsaken inch of sand to ultimate, unquestionable victory. Throughout time, all the way to our recent war on terror, they share one outstanding truth. These wars were and are fought with the unrelenting will of the average American boy and girl to vanquish those who attack our way of life and eradicate those who terrorize the innocent and feed on the fear of the helpless. And who were the American men and women who fought these wars? They were not different from me and you. They were not inherently special. They each had families, sweethearts, and friends whom they loved, and our nation's veterans left it all at home to serve. While each individual was born not inherently special, their actions made them special. And regardless of their rank or rating, our veterans gave away the best years of their youth to serve something greater than themselves. For those across the country who decided to enlist out of high school, they gave up the college life. They gave up the parties and the girls to pursue a life of discipline and teamwork. Officers gave away their lives at home to lead by example and lead from the front, demonstrating every single day the qualities that we, the American people, expect from our nation's officers. Each and every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine gave away their right to freedom of speech, expression, and individuality as soon as their heads were shaved at boot camp and their civilian clothes were stripped away and replaced with the uniform. Every individual undergoes a transformation from a civilian to a military member that's mission-oriented and goal-focused. In the Marine Corps recruit training, even the privilege of saying "I" is taken away. A recruit must use this recruit and that recruit at all times. As many of you know, I'm a poolee in the United States Marine Corps. As a poolee, I've already signed up to become a Marine, but I have not yet left for the 13 weeks of recruit training required to be a Marine. For those of you who know me, you know I'm a pretty average kid. Not different from you and not inherently special. I've just decided to take my life in a different direction, like millions of other Americans who've gone before me. Many people ask why I wanted to serve, and my answer is plainly, the military is my passion, and not only my passion, but my obsession. Second to none, I cannot see myself in any other walk of life. I'm motivated and excited to join the few and the proud, to be a jarhead, a leatherneck, and a hard charger. As Eleanor Roosevelt put it, the Marines I've seen around the world have the cleanest bodies, the filthiest minds, the highest morale, and the lowest morals of any group of animals I've ever seen. Thank God for the United States Marine Corps. To be a Marine would be my honor. Serving one's country is a privilege, and those who have taken the oath can attest in saying that it's truly a calling. While again, I haven't earned my keep and stepped on the yellow footprints down in Parris Island and earned the title Marine, the man I'm about to introduce has earned the title Marine. Peter Dye is a 2004 graduate of Wilton High School. After his graduation at Wilton High School, Peter attended Eastern Connecticut College, where he spent part of his time in the platoon leaders class program. His active duty time was delayed by a shoulder injury. Undeterred, he took advantage of the time to complete his master's degree in English. His 2 years of active duty took him all across the country, where he commanded tanks for Fox Company, 4th Tank Battalion. However, due to budget cuts, which hit the Marine Corps very hard, he was ordered into the reserves. He then spent 4 years in the Select Marine Corps Reserve and was a commanding officer for Detachment 4 out of Lafayette, Louisiana. There, he was in charge of scout and anti-armor platoons. Peter now teaches at Weston Middle School, and prior to this, taught in Waterbury for 3 years. It is my pleasure to introduce Peter Dye. Please give a Wilton Warrior welcome to a true American warrior, Peter Dye. Semper Fi, and thank you for your service.
Seth, that was pretty good. I really appreciate that. And I first want to extend a thank you and appreciation to Mrs. Lyons. If she didn't invite me to this, I wouldn't really have a reason or a cause to be here. So Mrs. Lyons, thank you. To the staff of Wilton High School for putting this together, and for the students for taking time out of your day. Thank you for making this a special moment for each other. To Seth and to anyone that has a Marine within your family, today's a very special day. Today's the 242nd birthday of the Marine Corps. That is a little bit older than our country, and because of what the Marines have done, we can have that. So for those of you that have a Marine within your family, I'd like to say, happy birthday, Marines. But today we are gathering here for Veterans Day. If you could right now, faculty and students, just simply raise your hand if you have a member of your family, a loved one, someone that is a veteran that is close and dear to you. Please raise that hand. Now please look around this community. Veterans Day, the idea, especially for thinkers like you here at Wilton High School, cannot be, what does Veterans Day mean to me? Absolutely not. You must think beyond that. What does Veterans Day mean to those around me? What does it mean to my community? When someone joins the military, like Seth will be doing, it is not about him anymore. It is about something greater than him. Veterans Day means quite a bit to certain people. I remember for myself being a young man, my father was a Marine, so it meant something in that capacity. And then my brothers served, so I took a little bit more pride in that day. And then I had the opportunity to become a Marine. And then I looked at my Marines, the young men and women, 18, 20 years old, that I led, and I thought about, wow, this is much different now. Over time, I've thought about it a bit too. What Veterans Day means to each other, the faculty in this community, the students, we also need to think the step beyond that. What does Veterans Day not only mean to a student with siblings in the military, or a staff member that has had their own students then join the military, or a sibling or a parent be in the military, but what about our Gold Star families? What about the families that have lost someone that has served? It has a much more solemn meaning on this day in which a lot of people celebrate. So please, as a community, remember those Gold Star families. Do not let go of them. They need you as a community during a day just like this. Now, Hollywood is very good at making you think that every veteran is Rambo, that every veteran is G.I. Joe. They storm machine gun nests by themselves single-handedly. They defeat both the Nazis and North Korea, and they do that all Monday through Friday. That is not quite the case. There are so many people who serve in the military that are not Rambo. In fact, their very job may be to not get in direct combat situations. They may be a doctor, a chaplain, a bulk fuel specialist, an aircraft maintenance technician, an aircraft ordnance personnel. Without those individuals, there would be no team. There would be no collective effort to do what we need to do. And sometimes those individuals wonder, did I do enough? Do I deserve to declare myself a veteran? Can I be proud to have served the same way that G.I. Joe and Rambo has, the same way that those individuals who wear the Medal of Honor have? Speaking of Medal of Honor recipients, very briefly, I was fortunate enough to meet a young man named Kyle Carpenter. Kyle Carpenter is a corporal in the Marine Corps who was awarded the Medal of Honor. Not because he was Rambo and charged a machine gun nest, not because his unit was in contact and he did something with disregard for his own safety and saved many people. Like Seth, he's a young man. You don't become a superhero once you join the military. Kyle Carpenter was in his post. It was being attacked. 3 grenades were thrown at their position. One actually got between him and another Marine. Kyle rolled over that grenade and took the blast. Kyle lived. Kyle went through many surgeries. I met this young man at an airport and looked him in the eyes and said, wow, thank you. Thank you for bringing honor to our Corps. Thank you for doing everything that you have done. I just didn't even know what to say to this young man. Do you know what he said to me? Thank you, sir. Thank you for serving. You want to talk about being humbled? I had a Medal of Honor recipient thank me for my service. Quite a bit there when you think about the community that we have. No one can do this alone. As a community, as America, we do not have to have, especially for us, the Marines, the Marine Corps does not have to exist. We could go away. Veterans Day could go away. But as a community, we decide that it's something important to us to have Veterans Day. In this country that we have, it's this interesting idea called selective service. You want to serve? You can do that, but you don't have to. Not every country is that way. I have few friends that are from Singapore That's a very small country. Look at Rhode Island. Now put that right next to China. That's a very intimidating country at their doorstep. So yes, every young man in that country serves, whether they want to or not. That's what you do. Here in America, it's not that way. We get to decide that we do not answer to a king across the ocean. We get to decide how we govern ourselves. And we get to choose, if you would like to step up and do that, you can. If not, you see your friends do it. It's important that you bring that respect and those honor to those people that have done it before us. I would like to draw your attention to some of the members of our American Legion, the veterans that you raised your hand to think about. No one made them do this. No one made them sign up, and when they did not know what tomorrow would be. I've met young men and women who their job was to be an administrative specialist, basically an office clerk. Yet they have 2 Purple Hearts and a combat action ribbon. They were not supposed to be in a firefight. They did not know what was supposed to happen. But they said I was going to go anyways. I've met young men under my command who are tankers. I think you can imagine what a tank is supposed to do. They've been in for about 15 years. They have not been deployed. Their friends have. They've seen that there's things going on in this world that they want to do something about. And they were worried that, sir, we haven't been put in yet. Can we still call ourselves Marines? Have we done enough? My question to them, did you serve honorably? Yes. Did you do everything your country has asked of you to do? Yes. Then that's more than most people. Yes, you wear that uniform with pride. Yes, you hold your head up high. It is an important day on Veterans Day to look to the individuals that have come before us and remind them that, yes, you have done everything your country has asked of you. Yes, please wear that uniform with pride. Yes, we do care and support you. And there's some individuals that do have that question. It's important that we remind them we care. And you don't have to understand. For many veterans, they don't want you to understand everything they went through. If you understood everything they went through, if there was common knowledge, all the experiences that happened to them, if the war was fought on our soil, we would have failed. Our job is to prevent that from happening. So there's some things you may not understand, but you can still care and respect. And that's an important takeaway. I'd like to thank you for your time and just have you remember that there is this idea called the power of good. As these young individuals, especially the seniors here at Wilton High School, stepping out into what they might call the real world, outside of this bubble of Wilton, remember this idea of the power of good. When something happens in your life, if you can physically say good, you can make that into a good thing. The conflict that happens, a relationship that breaks up that you've had, an injury that you sustain while playing a sport, if you can say good, good, I needed time to rest and focus on my academics. Good, I needed a fresh start. I have 5 exams in 2 days. Good, I need to learn a great way to manage my time. If you can say good when things are difficult, then you can mentally make it good and succeed. Thank you for making today a special day. Thank you for taking the time out of your lives to honor each other and those family members that you raised that hand for. Thank you, Wilton High School.
Thank you, Mr. Day. I have the distinct honor of welcoming Mr. Thomas K. Thresher, another Wilton High School alum. He graduated Wilton High School in the class of 2005. He contracted with the Army in the same year on an ROTC scholarship. He graduated the University of South Carolina in 2009. Once in the Army, Thomas served in several different capacities, notably as fire support, a platoon leader, an executive officer, and finally, a security forces advisor. He was stationed in multiple places, but spent a majority of his time with the 10th Mountain Division in upstate New York. Thomas achieved the rank of captain and served in Afghanistan in 2013 and was an advisor to the Afghan National Army. After leaving active duty in 2014, he returned to Connecticut, where he became a police officer in the town of Fairfield and continues to serve in the National Army Guard. What led him to join the Army was a feeling of debt and gratitude of which he felt towards our nation. That feeling was reinforced while he was at Wilton High School during the September 11th attack. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Thresher.
Hello, Wilton High School.
Does anyone remember me from last year? I came, I spoke. All right. Earlier today, I was at Stratford High School, and I had a speech written out. And what was happening is I was going class to class, and people were asking me questions, and their questions led me to just tear up that paper and come here freestyle and talk to you the way I did last year. My name's Tom Thresher. I graduated in 2005. I served in the Army until 2014. During that time, I had the pleasure of serving with hundreds of different men and women, and most notably, I served in Afghanistan in 2013. When I got out, I actually worked at Target for a little bit, and then I became a police officer in Fairfield. So, if any of you go to Fairfield U or Sacred Heart, I'll basically be your babysitter. So what does Veterans Day mean to me? People ask me two basic questions all the time. Three, really. They say, how much longer are we going to be in Iraq and Afghanistan? I say, I don't know. Two, they ask me, what's the biggest takeaway I got from my time in the service? And my biggest takeaway is that truly in America, and it's reinforced in the military, whether you want it to be or not, is you can do and be whatever you want. It's an amazing concept that they teach you as a baby. Do you want to be an astronaut? Go for it. Do you want to be a teacher? You can do that too. And as we get older, we begin to doubt that, and I don't know why. And in the military, you get put in a sink or swim situation all the time where it's basically, well, do you want to live or not? And you get to choose. And the way you choose is by working. And your teammates, the girls and the guys next to you, they're given that same choice. Do you want to live or not? The way you live is you work your tail off, because if you don't, you might be fine, but the guy or girl next to you is not going to be. And that translates into the civilian population quite easily, because once you get out of the military and you're just a regular Joe again, you're given these positions again where it's what do you want to be? And you can literally be whatever you want by just putting in the work and trying your hardest. Now, that translates into the second question that I get asked all the time. 22 veterans a day kill themselves. 22. 22 veterans a day take... "22 veterans a day take their own lives." And people ask me, how do we stop that? And the answer is, it's not the VA, it's not more drugs, it's not more psychologists, it's everyone here. My biggest problem when I came home was I thought I was this big, important, cool dude when I was overseas. I was doing a lot of high-speed stuff, dangling out of helicopters, living in mountaintops, a lot of the stuff that you see in the movies and think is really cool. I thought it was really cool too, that's why I was doing it. I served with some of the most greatest Americans you can imagine, true-life American heroes, people that they make action figures out of. And when I came home, I thought, okay, like we can do this. And instead what I saw, selfishly, was a group of people, the people I swore to protect, not putting in their part. And what I mean by that is not that they weren't thanking me. They were thanking me all the time. But the thing is I signed up to do this. I love doing it. And I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. But what are you going to do? Musicians complaining that they didn't get into music school, but they're not playing their instrument till their fingers bleed. Athletes talking about how they didn't make a team, but when their legs got tired, they just sat down. I looked around and I saw people asking for handouts. For what? And when I talk to my fellow veterans and I go to the VA in West Haven, the trend seems to be the same, whether they were in Vietnam, Panama, the Persian Gulf, Bosnia. It's that they came home and they felt like, what did I fight for? And that should never be brought into question, because what they fought for was each other and for everyone here. And last year, remember when I talked about different ways everyone can serve? It doesn't have to be dangling from a helicopter. It doesn't have to be in the military whatsoever. The way you can serve our community, our country, is by becoming what you need to become. By becoming whatever it is you're dreaming of right now that you're not sure if you can do it or not. Because if you put in the work and you put in the effort, it's going to happen. And when we come home, when our sisters and brothers come home and they look at you, they don't have to say thank you. Because I can look at them and say, hell yeah. I'll give you a few examples. Kelsey Harkness, I don't know if anyone knows her, class of 2007 here. She told me 10 years ago she was going to be a news journalist. I didn't know what she was talking about. Then a few years ago, she sent me an online blog that she was writing, and I thought, okay, another blogger. And then last week, I saw her on Fox News debating someone. Wilton High School, class of 2007 graduate, on Fox News, live, debating someone. Tim Conley, class of 2005, good friend of mine. He works for a company that essentially is hired by other companies to figure out where they're losing their money. He is extremely good at what he does, but that's not good enough. He paid his dues, he worked that 9-to-5 job in a tiny little apartment in Queens and worked his way up to where he is now, and that's not enough. He keeps working, he goes to continuing ed, he gets training, and he helps those companies day in and day out. And he loves what he does, and he's always trying to get better at it. He doesn't have to say thank you for your service, because I can say thank you. Zach Massick, class of 2007, he told me 10 years ago, Tom, I'm going to be a Green Beret. I said, good luck. Because that's one of the hardest things you can do, is become a Special Forces operator in the United States Army. Not only that, he became an 18 Delta, Special Forces medical sergeant. 6 years later, he was a Green Beret, and to this day, he still is a Green Beret. He's in the military like me, but he does not need to thank me for his service, and I don't need to thank him. Because he put in the time, he put in the effort, he became an expert in his craft, and he's treated every person with respect along the way. What I'm trying to say here is, on Veterans Day, we think of the veterans, we say, thank you for your service, right? Thank you for your service, but what does that really mean? Has anyone been given a gift on Christmas by the crazy aunt that thought you wanted like a butter spreader? And you say, oh, thank you, and you hand it right back. It's that empty thank you. If you want to fulfill that thank you with a greater meaning, then look at yourself. Look at what you want to become. Look at the community around you. Are you making other people's lives better? Are you perfecting your craft? If you're a teacher, are you excited that you have tenure, or are you excited because you have young minds that rely on you to be nurtured into the world? If you're a young athlete and your legs are hurting and it's the 90th minute of a soccer game or the fourth quarter of a football game and your legs are telling you you're tired, they're not telling you you're tired, they're telling you you need to move faster and help your teammates out. If you're a musician, same thing goes for you. You sat down for an hour after class and practiced your instrument. If your fingers aren't sore from playing with the strings or moving the keys around, then you haven't done your part. And every day, every single one of us needs to do our part. And that, when we do that as a community, then no one needs to thank anybody, because we're just living our lives to the fullest extent. We're not asking other people for a handout. We're not asking for charity. We're doing our best to be the best version of who we can be. If you do that, I guarantee you, I promise you, that number of 22 will go down to 0 overnight. So, remember last year I said, earn your sleep. Earn your sleep. Every night when you go home and you lay your head on the pillow, if you're totally energized, you didn't do enough. You just didn't. So from this day on, just like I said last year, from this day, figure out what it is you want to be, who you want to be, and what it is you want to do. How can you make this country and our world a better place? Who can you bring along? Who can you develop along your way? If you do that from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed at night, you will earn your sleep every night, and you will never have to say thank you for your service to me, to Pete, to anyone else, because we'll know, we'll come home, we'll see people living their lives to the fullest, and we'll know that our sacrifice was more than worth it. I believe it's worth it now, And I promise from this day on, for the rest of my life, when something goes bump in the night, I will bump right back 1,000 times. I will be the boogeyman in their nightmares. And I will do that with Pete and with our brothers and sisters for eternity, as long as you keep the promise of earning your sleep every night, being a better version of you, and truly chasing after your dreams. With that, happy Veterans Day. Sorry, I got a little emotional. And I will see you later.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Catalese. I'm the choir director here, but more importantly, my job today is to introduce our fabulous wind ensemble and Mr. Nick Loafman. Before they perform for you, as you saw earlier with Peter Day, so many of you in here have family, friends, and other loved ones that serve in our armed forces or have served. So what the wind ensemble is giving us an opportunity to do is to honor each armed service independently. So what my job will be for you is to announce which theme you're hearing prior to that armed service that is being recognized. At that point, if you know that those folks that you are familiar with that have served or are serving, if you know what branch of the service they are in, we're asking that you please stand. And then, of course, once that song is over, you can sit as we go on to the next service. Everybody got that? All right, so it's going to be very exciting. We appreciate Nick Loafman and our fabulous wind ensemble. Please stand and honor our Army, members of the Army. And now rise to honor members of our Coast Guard. And now for our Marine Corps, please stand and recognize them. and our Navy. Thank you again, Wind Ensemble, under the direction of Mr. Nick Wilson. Thank you very much.
Next Wednesday in advisory, you'll all be seeing a video that documents the work of the Gary Sinise Foundation, an organization that's dedicated to improving the lives of veterans around the country. In honor of their work, we too will be doing a little more. To all students and faculty, next Wednesday, November 15th, please bring $1 for first responders affected by the recent hurricane surges to your advisory periods. If every student participates, Wilton High School will prove that a small action such as donating a single dollar can make a huge positive impact. I would now like to introduce the Wilton High School Quartet of the Performance of America.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Please keep all the sentiments you heard by our outstanding key speakers you heard this afternoon in your thoughts today, tomorrow, and beyond. Thank you for your attentiveness this afternoon. You are dismissed to your Period 6 class.